So the Kensa weapons are weird? Kensa Collection I gave suboptimal kits to some of the basic weapons, Kensa Collection II gave some new kits to pretty good weapons to make them better overall, and Kensa Collection III gave new kits to underused weapons. But there's a reason why these weapons are underused, and that's because they're not great. I'm not saying it's impossible to do well with these weapons, I'm saying that you're going to be at a significant disadvantage compared to someone else who used something better. Splattershot Jr. is the training wheels of Splatoon. It's intended for you to get a handle of the controls and basic mechanics in early turf wars, because guess what? You didn't play the single player before jumping online? No one did. Especially not people who didn't play the first game either. But the thing is, you don't see anyone in BMX using training wheels, you don't see Takumi driving an automatic, you don't see Pyro using a training bra, and you don't see anyone using the Splattershot Jr. after level 2, and there's a reason for that. While it does have a really high fire rate, it's also super short range, and even at such a short range, it doesn't shoot very accurately either, and is a 4-shot kill, which puts you at a big disadvantage against most other weapons. It has about the same range as the Splat Roller's horizontal swing, so why would you use something like the Junior instead? Since it has such a short range, your Torpedo sub-weapon can help distract opponents and maybe damage them a little bit while you find a way to get in close with your main weapon to do some damage. Torpedoes can help you sort of track your enemy's location if they try to get away, and you can scout out enemies hiding with your torpedoes. You can also use torpedoes to pop the bubbles from your special really quickly, however it's pretty situational if you actually want to pop them early. The Junior's big ink tank is helpful for if you like to spam torpedoes, but you can't throw a second torpedo until the first one fully explodes, so it isn't really super beneficial. It's the weapon for Baby's first turf war, so as a rating I give it a Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu out of a possible Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, the superior version. This umbrella is supposed to be undercover, but it's all white. It's like when in a spy movie they wear a tuxedo to infiltrate a party. You're looking fresh to death. And this is probably one of the best possible sub and special options for the Undercover Brella. That is the last positive thing I'm going to say about this weapon, because oh my god, the Undercover Brella is so bad. So bad, holy shit. The Undercover Brella is a slow 3-shot kill at best. It doesn't have great range, and if you are hitting someone that's technically within your range, they still probably won't take full damage, if any, at all. It does as much as 40 damage, but also as little as 12 damage for each hit. So let me ask you this. If a Splatoon weapon has a relatively low fire rate and can hit its targets as many as 8 times, and that target is still alive, is it a good weapon? Answer: no, God, no! The big gimmick about this weapon is that your shield stays up while you're shooting, and if your shield breaks, then it instantly comes back if you either get a kill or an assist. So, if you use ink armor and someone else on your team gets a kill while wearing said armor, your shield comes back since that counts as an assist for you. That sounds great on paper, but it's a very situational and mostly useless feature. The Undercover Brella shield is super tiny, it's like Game & Watch in Melee. You can still easily take damage even with this shield out because it's so small, and the shield can only take a handful of hits before it breaks anyway. Any contact with a bomb also instantly breaks the shield, and the shield doesn't even come out until after the first shot. The one thing this needle dick Brella can do is spam torpedoes and spam ink armor. And I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for saying this, but in my opinion, ink armor is the most overrated special in the entire game. And speaking of overrated, torpedoes, they're not that great. Since they've come out, people have gotten significantly better at shooting them down before they explode and will thus do no damage. They can be a brief distraction and not much else, and you can't throw more than one. Even if they do hit their target, it's very rare that someone will take enough damage to die from the torpedo alone. So if you have a main weapon, that can't get kills, a sub-weapon that can't get kills, and a special weapon that can't get kills, This Brella covers turf pretty well, but it doesn't have the range to be an effective support weapon. So what does it even do?
What do you even do?
So using the Kensa Undercover Brella in a one-on-one encounter goes a lot like this. You activate ink armor and then throw the torpedo. They easily shoot it down or easily dodge it. You close the distance and start attacking them with your Brella. The Undercover Brella does very little damage. Your target, assuming they are using literally anything else, easily dodges your shots and starts shooting back at you. They break your shield, break your armor, and then kill you while the Brella continues to do very little damage. Or maybe not, maybe you get the kill on them first. But if you need to use your main, sub, and special all at once in a very precise way in order to get one kill when all other weapons don't need to do that, is it a good weapon? And before I get comments saying,
the Undercover Brella isn't bad, you're just bad with it.
Yeah, you're right. I am bad with it. All of us are, because it's a bad weapon. You want to know how to use the Undercover Brella? Give up. If you're thinking of using this, just turn the game off. Sober up. Get off the meth. Reevaluate your life choices. The Undercover Brella is the arrow spray of Brellas. In fact, I'd rather have 3 people using the silver arrow spray on my team than 1 person using any of the Undercover Brellas. I'd rather be in a 3v4 than having someone on my team with an Undercover Brella. You don't even get a fun rating. You're just bad. So I don't really use the semi-automatic burst fire shooters in this game too much because I don't like them. With the L3, the H3, and to an extent the squeezer, you can't just press and hold the trigger to keep shooting, you have to tap the button for every shot, and since I'm super lazy, I'd rather just press and hold the trigger instead of constantly having to tap the fire button for an entire match. If you're really good with the L3's rhythm, you can sync it up so that it shoots at an almost constant fire rate, like most other shooters. So then why would you use this anyway? The new L3 has Splash Wall, which would really be better in a longer range weapon like the H3, but it makes for a more defensive L3. I'm not really sure a frontline shooter like the L3 needs a defensive option, but here it is, I guess? Wall can definitely help you out in certain spots on certain maps, and can limit opponents' options in getting close to you, and can block the shots of longer range weapons that are currently outside of your range, but it really is an odd sub-weapon choice on such a short-range main weapon, especially because Wall often fully deploys too late to be of any real use. The biggest downside to having Splash Wall is that it's not burst bombs. The L3 with a dolphin on it does have burst bombs, which you can throw before or after shooting one of your burst shots to get a quick kill. Without burst bombs, you need to land a minimum of 2 separate burst shots, but oftentimes it'll be closer to 3 shots. And while the H3 has a worse fire rate, it has a little bit longer range and can get a one-hit KO shot if all 3 bullets land. I'll go more in depth on the Ultra Stamp in a little bit, but what I'll say now is that you can press and hold the right trigger to ride it and push into enemy territory, or you can hit the shoulder button to throw it across the map and take out longer range opponents with one shot. So for a rating for the L3, I give it a... Have you guys tried out the new Pokemon game yet? It's pretty good. It's a lot simpler than the older games, but it's still a lot of fun, you know? It entertains me, and at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask a video game to do. The Octo Brush, still the weebiest weapon in the game, and I suppose this Dark Octo Brush is for when weebs start going through their emo phase, like when they switch from watching Naruto to Death Note. It's a great weapon if you want to go from C rank to A rank quickly, but after that it's pretty fucking mediocre, to be honest. I already made a pretty in-depth guide on the Octo Brush, so you guys can check that one out for more details. But what I'll say now is that the Octo Brush is great because you don't have to aim, like at all. Just sort of face in the general direction of your target and you'll do at least some damage. Just repeatedly tap jump with your thumb and go berserk with your index finger on the trigger and you'll hit him at least a little bit. Sometimes the Octo Brush is short range, and sometimes it's still short range, but not as much short range, who the fuck knows. Fortunately, suction bombs can help you apply pressure to the other team outside the Octo Brush's small attack range. I recommend throwing out a suction bomb whenever you have enough ink. They're great for crowd control and surprise random kills. Ultra Stamp is also pretty good on Octo Brush. You can use it to attack everything in front of you, or throw it outside your brush and bomb range. So for a rating, I give it a... You can ride Haunter, but not Gengar, and that's dumb. Forget what I said. Worst Pokemon game ever, worst game ever, worst piece of media ever. This game is baddie bad. The Ultra Stamp, also known as the Big Ass Hammer. If you press the trigger just once, it swings once. You can also jump and swing it, but it has kind of a weird hitbox. If you press and hold the trigger, you'll swing it around a whole bunch and ride it like you're water skiing, or like a dog sliding its butthole on the carpet. When you're riding it, you'll be somewhat protected in the front, but you'll be vulnerable from the sides and from behind. This functionality of the hammer can be useful to push into enemy territory and chase enemies away, but keep in mind you're not invincible. It's especially useful in Clam Blitz and Rainmaker, since you can use the hammer to make a path for the Rainmaker pedestal or the Clam Basket, and unlike Ball or Splashdown, you don't drop the Power Clam when the special ends, so you can just dunk it right in there. The alternate function of the hammer is that if you press the shoulder button, after a brief pause, you'll throw it across the map, one hit KOing anything in its path, like your Thor chucking Mjolnir. It follows a similar trajectory through the air that most bombs do, just much further. So for longer throws, you may need to arc it a little bit to get the most out of your throw. Right now, this special is only on shorter range weapons, so this functionality is really useful for them since it gives you a longer ranged option. If there's someone out of range, just whip out your hammer and immediately chuck it at your target. It feels really good to take out a charge or a splatling from a range where you normally wouldn't be able to hit them. At first glance, it might feel like a waste of your special to just immediately throw your hammer, but what further use can a special have other than a free fast kill or two? Just because it doesn't last long doesn't mean it's not good. So don't be afraid to activate it, aim, and unleash hammer time.